Within every man who has ever walked the earth, there exists a silent, lifelong civil war. It is a struggle for the throne of your own mind, a battle waged not on fields of dirt and blood, but in the quiet moments of decision, in the crucible of your relationships, and in the depths of your own soul. There are two contenders for this throne. On one side sits the anxious boy. On the other stands the Stoic king. Every day, with every choice you make, you cast a vote. You feed one and you starve the other. The anxious boy is the voice of your fear, the embodiment of your insecurities. He is the part of you that craves constant validation from others, especially from women. His self-worth is a fragile mirror, reflecting whatever opinion is currently shining upon it. He is a reactor, not an actor, thrown into emotional turmoil by a delayed text message, a critical comment, or the specter of rejection. He believes that his happiness is a fortress that must be built outside of himself, in the approval and affection of a woman. And so he spends his life as a supplicant, a people pleaser, a chameleon who changes his colors to match the expectations of others, terrified that if he reveals his true self, the world will find him lacking. He is a slave to outcomes he cannot control, and his life is a roller coaster of brief highs and prolonged, agonizing lows. The Stoic king is the man you are capable of becoming. He is the sovereign of his own inner world. His self-worth is not a reflection, but a self-luminous sun, generated from within by his character, his principles, and his commitment to his purpose. The king understands the fundamental laws of reality. He knows what he can control and what he cannot, and he wastes none of his precious energy on the latter. He is the calm center of the storm, the man who feels all emotions but is a slave to none. He seeks a partner not to complete him, but a share in the abundance of a life already rich with meaning. His reality is built on the bedrock of virtue and self-reliance. He does not seek happiness as a destination. He cultivates tranquility as a practice. He is free. Today is not just another lesson. Today is a call to arms. We will dissect these two archetypes. We will explore how they manifest in the most critical arenas of your life. Your mindset, your approach to women, and the treacherous terrain of early dating. This is a guide to recognizing the voice of the boy, defying his cowardly counsel, and consciously choosing to enthrone the king. The choice is yours to make, and it is the only choice that truly matters. Let us first examine the very foundation upon which these two archetypes build their lives. Their inner kingdom, the nature of their mindset and their reality. The anxious boy's reality is a fragile construct, outsourced to the external world. He is a tenant in his own mind, and he believes a woman holds a lease. His internal monologue is a frantic negotiation with fate. If only she likes me, then I'll be confident. If only this relationship works out, then I'll be happy. If only I can get her validation, then I'll feel worthy. He lives in a perpetual state of if only, making his peace and his power conditional on things he cannot command. This is the definition of psychological slavery. He builds his house on the sand of her approval, and is therefore in a constant state of terror, watching the tides, praying the waves of her moods or her disinterest don't wash it all away. The Stoic king, however, is a master architect who builds his reality on the indestructible foundation of his own character. His is a kingdom ruled by a simple, powerful constitution, the dichotomy of control. He has accepted the profound truth that his thoughts, his judgments, and his virtuous actions are the only things in the universe he truly owns. Everything else, her feelings, the outcome of a date, his reputation, his wealth, are preferred indifference. He may prefer them to go well, but his core tranquility is never held hostage by them. The king's internal monologue is not a negotiation. It is a declaration. My worth is determined by my integrity, not by her opinion. My happiness is a product of my virtuous actions, not the status of my relationship. My confidence is forged in my discipline, not granted by her approval. He is the sole author of his own self-esteem. He lives by what Marcus Aurelius called the principle of the inner citadel, a fortress within his own mind, built of reason and virtue that no external event can ever breach. While the boy is terrified of the tides, the king is the bedrock of the coastline itself, unmoved by the crashing waves. He has chosen to be the master of his inner world, and in doing so has rendered himself immune to the tyranny of the outer world. Now, Let's observe how these two fundamentally different realities manifest in the world of action, beginning with the very first encounter, the approach, the moment of potential connection or rejection. The anxious boy sees the approach as a high-stakes performance. He is auditioning for the role of worthy man. His mind is a chaotic buzz of calculation and fear. What's the perfect line? What if she's with her friends? What if she thinks I'm creepy? What if she rejects me? This paralysis by analysis is rooted in his core delusion that the interaction is about getting something from her, a number, her validation, a momentary ego boost. Because his goal is external, he is terrified of the outcome. If he musters the courage to act, his energy is supplicating. His body language is hesitant, his voice uncertain. He is asking for permission to exist in her reality. He is seeking her approval. She feels this instantly. A woman's intuition is a finely tuned instrument for detecting neediness and a lack of internal congruence. Even if she is polite, she is often repelled by the unspoken plea in his presence. If he is rejected, his fragile reality shatters. The rejection is not just an event. It is a verdict on his entire being. He retreats, wounded, his belief that he is not good enough reinforced, and the anxious boy's grip on the throne of his mind tightens. The Stoic king views the approach through an entirely different lens. His goal is not to get, but to give an honest expression of his intent. His purpose is not to pass her test, but to test his own courage. The entire event is an internal affair, a chance to act in accordance with his own values of boldness and authenticity. He, too, feels the stirrings of fear. The Stoics were not emotionless. They were simply not ruled by emotion. But he feels the fear and acts anyway, because his action is the goal itself. He has already achieved his victory before he even says a word, simply by choosing to act. The outcome is a preferred indifferent. He walks over with a calm and grounded energy. His body language is open. His eye contact is direct. His voice is steady. He is not asking for permission. He is a sovereign king from one kingdom, offering a diplomatic envoy to the sovereign of another. He might say something as simple as, "Excuse me, I saw you from across the room and I had to come and say hello. I'm Marcus." His energy is not one of supplication, but of offering. "This is who I am. I find you compelling. Let's see if there is a connection." Now, let's say she rejects him. She is busy, or she has a boyfriend, or she is simply not interested. For the king, this is not a verdict. It is merely data. It is information. Our paths do not align at this moment. His inner citadel is untouched. His self-worth remains completely intact. He might smile, say, "It was a pleasure to meet you. Have a great evening," and walk away with the same calm energy with which he arrived. He has lost nothing, because his self-esteem was never on the table. He acted virtuously. He was courageous. He was authentic. In his own kingdom, he was victorious, and he moves on, his internal peace undisturbed. This brings us to the next great arena of testing, the uncharted territory of early dating, a phase defined by uncertainty and a potential for obsession. Here, the anxious boy is truly in his own personal hell. Having outsourced his happiness to the potential of a relationship, the uncertainty of this phase is agonizing. His mind becomes a full-time detective agency, dedicated to deciphering the cryptic clues of her behavior. She took 3 hours to text back, but last time it was 1. What does it mean? She used a period instead of an emoji. Is she mad? She mentioned a male friend. Are they just friends? His life outside of her begins to atrophy. He loses focus on his work, his hobbies, his own mission. He waits by his phone, his emotional state rising and falling with the arrival of each notification. In an attempt to seize control, he resorts to tactics he reads about online. He plays games, feigns disinterest, and tries to manipulate her into revealing her true level of interest. His actions are driven by a deep-seated fear of loss and a desperate need for certainty where none can exist. He is trying to force a flower to bloom by pulling at its petals. The result is that he crushes the very thing he so desperately wants to cultivate. The Stoic king navigates this same uncertainty with a powerful, grounding force, his unwavering commitment to his own telos, his purpose. The woman, the dates, the potential relationship are a wonderful and welcome addition to his life, but they are not the center of it. The sun in his solar system is his mission. Before the date, he plans it with intention and care, because that is what a man of virtue does. During the date, he is completely present. He is not in his head, running calculations. He listens deeply. He shares his own life and thoughts with authenticity. He enjoys the moment for what it is, an exchange between two sovereign beings. But after the date, he returns his focus to his own kingdom. He goes back to building his business, training his body, reading his books. His communication is direct and honest because he is free from the fear of the outcome. He doesn't play games because games are for boys who are afraid to lose. The king is not afraid to lose what is not truly his to begin with. He texts when he feels like it. He asks her out again when he wants to see her again. His actions are a direct expression of his intent. If she is receptive, wonderful. If she is distant or loses interest, it is a disappointment, but it is not a catastrophe. His life's purpose remains. His self-worth remains. His inner citadel stands. This confident, purpose-driven presence is what creates the space for genuine attraction to grow. She doesn't feel the cloying grasp of his neediness. Instead, she feels a calm, gravitational pull of his center of reality. She feels that he is a man on a journey, and she becomes inspired to be a part of it, rather than feeling the exhausting pressure of being the destination itself. The king wins not by chasing, but by building a kingdom so magnificent that the right queen wants to help him rule it. We have charted the course of the anxious boy and the stoic king through the initial phases of attraction and the uncertainty of dating. But the true measure of a man's frame, the real test of his inner kingdom, is not revealed when the seas are calm. It is revealed when inevitable storms arrive. Now, we venture into the heart of the relationship itself, to witness how these two archetypes face the trials of conflict, the test of freedom, and the ultimate crucible of loss. Let us explore the treacherous ground of conflict and disagreement. No matter how compatible two people are, storms will gather, a disagreement will arise, feelings will be hurt, and the harmony of connection will be threatened. For the anxious boy, conflict is a personal catastrophe. Because his self-worth is tied to her constant approval, any form of disagreement feels like a withdrawal of that approval, a direct threat to his very identity. His fear response kicks in, and he reacts in one of two predictable, destructive ways. The first is aggression. He goes on the attack, not to solve the problem, but to win the argument. He needs to prove he is right, because in his mind, being right reaffirms his fragile sense of worth. He may raise his voice, use sarcasm, or bring up past mistakes. He treats his partner as an adversary to be defeated. The second path is total submission. Terrified of her disapproval, he will abandon his own position entirely. He will apologize for things that are not his fault, agree to terms that violate his own principles, and sacrifice his own needs to restore a superficial peace as quickly as possible. Whether he chooses to be a tyrant or a doormat, his actions are guided by the same desperate fear. He is fighting for his validation supply, not for the health of the relationship. The Stoic king, however, sees conflict not as a threat, but as an opportunity. It is a fire that can either destroy the relationship or forge it into something stronger. He understands that the goal is not to win an argument against his partner, but to achieve a victory for the relationship. He enters the conflict armed with the tools of his philosophy. His first and most powerful weapon is the Stoic pause. When the conflict begins, he feels the rise of his own emotions, anger, frustration, defensiveness, but he does not act on them. He creates a space between the stimulus of her words and his response. In this space, he consults his reason. He remembers his ultimate goal, connection and resolution, not ego gratification. He then deploys the virtue of justice, which in a relationship manifests as a genuine attempt to understand. He listens. He puts down his own sword and seeks to understand her perspective fully, even if he believes it is wrong. He asks clarifying questions. He validates her feelings, without necessarily agreeing with her facts. He might say, "I understand that my actions made you feel that way, and I am sorry for that." He takes ownership of his part, as a king takes responsibility for his realm. Only after he has made her feel heard and understood does he present his own perspective, and he does so with tranquility and reason. He does not raise his voice. He does not accuse. He states his case clearly and calmly, as a man presenting evidence, not as a boy throwing a tantrum. He is the calm, unshakable center of the storm. By refusing to engage in emotional warfare, he creates a safe space where a real solution can be found. He leads not by dominating, but by demonstrating a superior form of control, self-control. Now we move to an even more subtle and profound test of a man's inner security, the test of freedom, jealousy, and possessiveness. As a relationship deepens, the anxious boy's fear of loss intensifies. This fear curdles into jealousy. The boy operates from a deep-seated scarcity mindset. He believes he is lucky to have her, and that he is fundamentally not enough to keep her. Therefore, he sees threats everywhere. A new male friend, a compliment from her boss, a friendly conversation with a stranger, all are interpreted as existential threats to his fragile security. This fear drives him to try and control her. He might check her phone, question where she's been, make passive-aggressive comments about her friends, or try to guilt her into spending less time on her own pursuits. He attempts to build a cage around her, mistaking possession for love. This is the act of a jailer, not a king, and it is one of the most potent destroyers of attraction. A woman cannot desire a man she does not respect, and she cannot respect a man who does not trust her or himself. The Stoic king, by contrast, operates from a mindset of absolute abundance. This abundance does not come from having many women, but from having a powerful sense of his own internal value. His life is already full with his mission, his purpose, and his own cultivated happiness. His partner is a cherished and wonderful addition to this life, but she is not the source of it. Therefore, the king is not afraid of her freedom. He celebrates it. He wants her to have her own friends, her own hobbies, her own life. He understands a core truth. You can only truly love something that you are not afraid to lose. His confidence is not in his ability to control her, but in the value of the kingdom he has built. He is confident that he is a man worth choosing day after day. He applies the dichotomy of control perfectly. He knows her action, her feelings, and her choices are hers alone. He focuses only on what he can control, being a virtuous, trustworthy, and high-value partner himself. He does not see other men as threats, because his competition is only with the man he was yesterday. His lack of jealousy is not a sign of indifference. It is the ultimate sign of his strength. He trusts her, but more importantly, he trusts himself. He knows that if she were to ever break that trust, he would have the strength to walk away. His frame is not dependent on her fidelity. His frame is dependent on his own integrity. This is a profound security that a woman craves, the freedom to choose a man who is not afraid of her choosing. This brings us to the final frontier, the ultimate test of a man's sovereignty, the event that completely shatters the boy and reveals the true nature of the king, the breakup. For the anxious boy, the end of the relationship is an apocalypse. Because he made the woman the center of his universe, her departure is not just a loss of partner. It is the death of his identity. His inner world, having been built on the foundation of her approval, collapses into ruin. This is when you see a man abdicate all dignity. He begs, he pleads, he makes desperate, hollow promises. He might resort to emotional manipulation or angry tirades. He floods her with messages, demanding an explanation, a second chance, anything to alleviate the unbearable pain of his own inner emptiness. He is a king whose throne has been repossessed, a homeless man shivering in the ruins of a kingdom he never truly owned. His collapse reveals the truth. He was never a king, only a boy playing dress-up. For the Stoic king, the breakup is a profound and deeply painful event. Let's be clear, the Stoic feels pain. He feels loss. He feels sorrow. But his kingdom does not collapse. The breakup is a geopolitical crisis, the secession of a cherished ally, but it is not the fall of the empire. His inner citadel remains untouched. This is the ultimate practice of amor fati, the love of one's fate. The king looks upon this painful, unwanted reality, and he accepts it. He does not waste his energy fighting what is. He does not drown in the what-ifs. He acknowledges the pain with courage. He allows himself to grieve with dignity. But he does not lose himself. He knows that her decision to leave is an external event outside of his control. He focuses his power on the things he can command. He can control his response, choosing to act with grace and respect, even in pain. He can control his judgments, refusing to believe that this ending defines his worth. And most importantly, he can control his focus. After a period of grieving, he consciously turns his attention back to the one thing that was always his mission. He pours his energy back into his work, his body, his mind. He uses the pain as fuel in the forge of his own character. He reflects on the lessons of the relationship with honesty, taking ownership for his own shortcomings. The breakup, as brutal as it is, becomes another hammer blow that strengthens the steel of his soul. He is hurt, but he is not destroyed. In time, he will emerge in the fire not diminished, but refined. This is the ultimate victory of the Stoic king. It is the proof of his sovereignty. His peace and his purpose were his own, and therefore they could never truly be taken from him. So, we return to the central theme, the choice. The war between the anxious boy and the Stoic king rages within you every day. When you feel the urge to check your social media obsessively, it is the boy whispering his fears. When you choose to put the phone down and focus on your work, you are feeding the king. When you feel the defensive anger rising in a disagreement, it is the boy crying out for his ego. When you choose to take a breath and listen, you are feeding the king. When you feel the sting of jealousy and the desire to control, it is the boy revealing his scarcity mindset. When you choose to trust and to focus on your own value, you are feeding the king. This is not a transformation that happens overnight. It is a lifelong campaign. It is a process of 1,000 small, conscious decisions. It is the daily practice of choosing reason over reaction, courage over comfort, and virtue over validation. It is a deliberate and relentless process of building your inner kingdom, one virtuous action at a time. The throne of your own mind is sitting vacant. For too long, you have allowed the anxious boy, a usurper motivated by fear and neediness, to occupy it. But the throne is yours by birthright. It is waiting for the king to return. The choice is yours. The work is yours. Will you continue to live as a boy, a slave to the whims of the world? Or will you do the hard, necessary work to claim your crown and become the sovereign of your own soul? The Stoic king is not born. He is made. And he is made by the choices you make, starting right now.